All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a truly transformative piece of writing, Shiv Khera's incredibly inspirational essay, Every Success Story is Also a Story of Great Failures. We're going to systematically deconstruct the psychology of resilience and look at the actual anatomy of what makes someone successful. So if you've ever felt like you're falling behind or that the obstacles in your path are just way too big, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get into it.
Look, we've got to start by challenging this massive cognitive bias we all seem to carry around. We often think that achieving our goals is a simple cinch, or we look at highly accomplished people and just assume, oh, they were lucky, right place, right time. But check out this powerful quote straight from the text. Failure is the highway to success. Think about that. It's not a roadblock. It's not a detour sign pointing the wrong way. It's the actual highway itself. The text is demanding that we shift our perspective from seeing failure as this embarrassing dead end to viewing it as the literal catalyst for future success.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The fallacy of luck. 2. Anatomy of a success journey. 3. Defeat is a detour. 4. The Socrates secret. And 5. Real-life student application.
Starting off with Section 1, the fallacy of luck.
We really need to examine how we tend to completely misinterpret monumental achievements. You know how it is. The public view is incredibly narrow. The outside world observes the peak, that final polished triumph, and quickly dismisses it as pure unearned luck. But the text reveals the hidden reality. People completely ignore the grueling trials that actually preceded the breakthrough. We're talking years of crushing rejections, poverty, isolation. Consider Thomas Edison's 10,000 failed light bulb experiments, or Walt Disney working out of a literal mouse-infested shed. The public ignores the 10,000 failures and just praises the one glowing bulb.
Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of a Success Journey, and how character actually gets forged.
So, if it's not luck, what is it? Well, every ambitious person goes through 4 inevitable stages. Stage 1 is the launch. This begins with high dreams. Think of Colonel Sanders trying to sell his mother's chicken recipe when he was 65 years old. Then comes Stage 2, the setback. Inevitable obstacles arrive. Outsiders might flat out declare you lack talent, just like musical academies told Beethoven. Now here is where ordinary people quit. But victors, they move to Stage 3, failing forward. Instead of throwing in the towel, they analyze their mistakes and adapt, making that failure a stepping stone. And finally, Stage 4 is the triumph. Peak success is achieved, and ironically, to the ignorant outside world, it suddenly looks like luck all over again.
Which brings us to Section 3. Defeat is a detour.
Let's ground this in reality with an undeniable historical data point. Take a good look at this image and answer a question for me. Do you consider this man a failure? This is Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Today, he is universally recognized as one of the absolute greatest leaders in modern history. But Shiv Khera uses this brilliant rhetorical technique here. He challenges us to look past the grand presidential portrait and examine the actual brutal road Lincoln walked.
Just look at this timeline. It is completely devastating. At age 21 and again at 24, Lincoln failed miserably in business. At 26, his sweetheart tragically died. At 27, he suffered a severe mental breakdown. At ages 34 and 45, he lost major congressional and senatorial campaigns. Think about the heavy emotional toll of that timeline. Most people would have completely surrendered by age 27. But at age 52, he was elected President of the United States. This visually proves that Lincoln's ultimate success wasn't just handed to him on a silver platter. It was strictly forged in the fires of persistent, heartbreaking failure.
So the absolutely crucial question is, how on earth did Lincoln process all of that rejection without giving up? Well, he basically redefined his vocabulary. I've put together this little cheat sheet based on the text. For Lincoln, a setback was just an obstacle in progress. A detour? That's just a roundabout path you take when the main route is closed. It is absolutely not a dead end. And humility is having a modest view of your own importance, which is exactly what helps you accept failures gracefully. Lincoln literally viewed defeat as just a temporary lane change on the highway of life.
All right, on to Section 4, the Socrates secret.
This brings us to a critical pivot. We've seen the history, but what about the internal drive you need to actually survive those brutal setbacks? The essay shares this famous philosophical story. A young man asked the ancient philosopher Socrates for the absolute secret to success. Now, Socrates didn't give him a boring lecture. No, he walked the young man out into a river and suddenly ducked his head underwater. The young man fought, gasped, struggled frantically. And right before he passed out, Socrates pulled him up and asked this profound rhetorical question. What did you want the most when you were under? Obviously, the young man's desperate, immediate answer was air. Socrates just smiled and delivered this absolute truth bomb. When you want success as badly as you wanted air, you will get it. A burning desire is the absolute starting point of all achievement. Without that intense internal fire, the very first major setback or detour is going to knock you completely off the road.
And finally, Section 5, Real-Life Student Application.
Okay, let's bring these grand historical concepts directly back to your immediate reality. How can we apply this right now, especially if you're dealing with board exam anxiety or heavy academic pressure? First, redefine that exam anxiety. If you get a poor mark, do not view it as a label of stupidity. It's not. View it as standard diagnostic feedback. Use those mistakes to course correct. Second, double your trials. If a math or grammar concept is tripping you up, don't quit. Literally double the practice sheets. And third, develop humility. Understand that setbacks are natural tools that build character. They teach you to become a victor, never a victim. This whole mindset is perfectly summarized by this quote from Tom Watson Sr., highlighted in the text. If you want to succeed, double your failure rate. I highly encourage you to actively embrace this bounce-back mentality. When you're struggling with a tough subject, remember that increasing your attempts inevitably increases your failures, sure, but those failures are the exact stepping stones that lead to mastery. Let's wrap up with this final provocative thought. The text closes with a powerful poem titled If You Think, which basically argues that success is fundamentally a cognitive and emotional attitude. It all begins inside your head. If you think you're beaten, well, you are. So ask yourself before your next big challenge, are you looking at your setbacks as dead ends, or are they just detours on your personal highway to success? I really hope this explainer has shifted your mindset today and left you ready to go out there and fail forward. Keep learning, keep pushing, and we'll see you next time.